Hey guys, Romany Reaper here. So I'm outside Odin, as you can see. I'm about to head in to see Borderlands, of course, the latest in a long line of video game adaptations. And yeah, I think more of a curiosity got the better of me because obviously I can hear universally terrible things about the film. So I had to see for myself if it really was as bad as everybody has been saying it is. Who knows? Maybe it is. Who knows? Maybe it might actually surprise me and be a half decent film. I don't know. Yeah, all I know is that the reviews being so bad almost tempted me more to see it. So yeah, I'm gonna head in, get my snacks, get seated, and go and see Borderlands. So you've got popcorn here and a cherry coke, ready to see the latest masterpiece from auteur writer director Eli Roth. So yeah, Borderlands. Of course, by now, you're fully aware that this thing has had a very rough go at it regarding its production. It was shot back in 2021, back in COVID times, and was sat on the shelf for nearly 3 years before being called back for extensive reshoots overseen by Tim Miller. I believe Gary Ross also oversaw a round of reshoots as well. So yeah, couple that troubled production with casting choices which have been universally ridiculed by fans of the games, and trailers which have not looked good. They're painting really inspiring signs in regarding the film's quality. But is this a return to the bad old days of video game movies? Let's find out. So the film follows Lilith, a bounty hunter who has been hired by Deucalion Atlas, the head of the Atlas Corporation, who tasks her with heading down to the planet Pandora to retrieve his daughter Tina. However, upon arriving on Pandora, Lilith finds herself drawn into a mission to uncover an ancient Iridian vault hidden on the planet. And so she teams up with a ragtag crew in a race against time to find the vault and uncover its secrets before it can fall into the hands of Atlas. So by now, you know that this was initially written by Craig Mazin, who, of course, showrunner of HBO shows like Chernobyl and The Last of Us. It was also extensively rewritten. Of course, Mason asked for his credit to be removed, and he has gone on record denying that the film's credited writer, Joe Crombie, is him. But regardless of if you believe him, like, if I were in his shoes, yeah, I'd probably have my name removed from it as well. Yeah, because this is a bit of a stinker. Right? Yeah, bad film. It's maybe not quite as bad as some of the reviews have been saying it is. It's certainly a little better than stuff like Madam Web. But yeah, it's not good at all. I'm sorry. And then obviously, despite this having, a whole like franchise of games to draw from, what this feels most like it is doing is, attempting to ape the success of Guardians of the Galaxy. And like all the broad narrative and tonal similarities are there. You've got a ragtag group of misfits reluctantly teaming up to stop a common enemy. You've got a wacky, colorful galaxy full of outlaws. You've got a soundtrack of licensed rock and pop songs, and you've got a zany, irreverent sense of humor. And even beyond that, you've got like direct visual similarities. Like, look at this shot from Borderlands, and now compare it with this shot from Guardians of the Galaxy. Yeah, it really does feel like Guardians, but bought from AliExpress. But how is the story, I hear you ask? Oh, it's also awful. Thanks for asking. This is just a really generic, like, MacGuffin treasure hunt that we have seen done time and time again in genre films like this. And this really doesn't bring anything new to the table. Not even the humor, like, thanks to the dominance of stuff like the MCU. Yeah, like, this is full of, like, sort of, well, that's random type humor that, of course, on many occasions threatens to undercut the emotional stakes. This is a criticism that has been leveled many a time at the MCU, and yeah, I'm not even going to try and deny it, but at least some of Marvel's jokes can be funny. Literally, not a single joke here landed. And see, the characters could well have been interesting, but the problem is they are basically just reduced to, the broadest one note archetypes. And if the actors were really trying here, they could well have elevated the material, but the problem is, by and large, everyone here is miscast. Like, Kate Blanchett is alright as Lilith. She is, clearly trying here and to deliver, a decent performance in spite of the material, which is basically just generic hardened bounty hunter with mommy issues. She is far too good for this. Yeah, you've also got Kevin Hart as Roland, and while I do respect his attempts to branch out into more serious action roles, yeah, I don't think this is a mode that suits him. Like, it's sorely missing that his comic energy, and this could well have brought some life to this. But the problem is that, aside from like a couple of attempts to inject some jokes in, he just feels really subdued, and just that spark never comes. Jamie Lee Curtis is also here as scientist Dr. Tanis, and man, she is wasted. She basically just serves as a vehicle for exposition. You've also got Ariana Greenblatt as Tiny Tina and Florian Montinu as Krieg, and these two could well have been good casting. Like, Greenblatt sort of tries to inject some energy, and Montinu could well have been a really great imposing presence. But the problem is, Tina feels too restrained for her energy to really leave an impact. And Krieg barely registers as a character beyond strongman who punches people in action scenes. That is it. Edgar Ramirez can give good performances when he's given the right material. The problem is this film is not it, and his character Atlas is basically just a really generic corporate type baddie who basically just stands around barking orders at his underlings. And also, the film does the impossible and actually made me hate Jack Black. Yes, Jack Black, who is normally a wonderful screen presence and brings tons of humor to things, actually irritated me here. And see, Jack Black as Claptrap could actually be an inspired bit of casting with the right script. The problem is here, the script is not good, and none of the jokes land. So all that happens is that every single scene involving Claptrap, he just grates on you. Like, ah, genuinely such an annoying character. There's maybe the odd half decent action scene in here. Like, a standout one is a fight in a sort of underground network of tunnels inhabited by masked psychos. But the problem is, by and large, the action feels really like neutered and bloodless. Trying to chase broad appeal and in the 12A rating. And also, this cost 120 million, by the way. Like, you wouldn't be able to tell because some of the visuals here are so cheap. There's some really bad green screens here, and some really naff looking CGI explosions. And also, right, where do you see the blatant laziness in this? I've seen this pointed out, and now I can't unsee this. Right, look very closely. You can clearly see a crew member helping Florian Montinu open up the hatch. Like, how lazy do you have to be? Like, I thought that's why we have post production, so that shit like this doesn't make it into the final film. There's maybe the odd decent bit of production design as well, but what's the point when everything around it is this cheap? Like, yeah. And the final act is, builds to like a twist, which is very obvious, and none of the payoffs really land because I just didn't give a shit about any of these characters really. And yeah, Borderlands overall, yeah, it's not good. Yeah, considering how good video game adaptations of recent have been, this really feels like sort of like a cold water slap in the face. Yeah, such a direct contrast to stuff like Fallout. But yeah, overall, Borderlands out of 10, I am going to give it a 3. So yeah, let me know down in the comments. Have you seen Borderlands? What did you think of it? Are you a fan of the games? Let me know what you made of it as an adaptation. I'd like to see that perspective. Don't forget the thumbs up button if you enjoyed. Don't forget the subscribe button if you're new, and don't forget to turn on post notifications so you don't miss an upload.